All right. So this talk is how to start a business with your friends without killing each other. Probably if you're at this talk, you are either thinking about starting a business with your friends or have already started a business with your friends or currently killing each other and you're wanting to stop doing that. So, or maybe you're just interested. Whoever you are, welcome to this talk. Should be pretty quick. It's going to be a little bit goofy. We're going to have some fun. But okay, let's go ahead and get started. This is the agenda for this talk. We're going to talk about what's fun about starting a business with your friends. There is some fun stuff, despite my very spooky font that I chose. We're also going to talk about what could be hard about being in a business with your friends. And then we're going to go into some surefire ways that you can kill your business and your friendship. And then we're going to close the talk with some rules of engagement. So before we completely jump into the talk, I want to give a really quick background about myself. So I'm Katie. I'm 1/3 of an all-women indie game company called Zwinsler Games. We make games about social issues we care about. We've put out 2 games already, 2 mobile games, and we're currently in the process of our 3rd game. You guys might have seen us around the BostonFIG scene before. Make Ends Meet is a mobile puzzle game that we released. So if you guys have seen us for that, welcome back. Good to see you guys. So yeah, I am in a business with my friends. Audrey and Heather, our other 2 business partners. We are all friends from college, and we decided that we wanted to start an indie game business together. And it's been lots of fun, but we've also killed each other a few times. So that's why we're gonna do this talk. All right, so let's jump right into it. We're gonna start with what everyone loves, which is what is fun about starting a business with your friends. I wanted to start this talk by saying there's a lot of fun about starting a business with your friends. And I want to talk about some of the super fun things that you can get if you start a business with your super cool buddies. Number 1, you already love and trust each other, hopefully, if you are friends, which is great news. You guys already have a really solid foundation, probably if you're all friends and you're wanting to start a business together. And that could be something great. You're not starting from scratch with some business partner that you don't even know. And that is awesome and makes for a really good foundation. Your friendship can sort of be good bedrock for your future business endeavors. Also, it's a very unique experience. So you and your buddies, you probably have a lot of fun memories together, lots of cool stuff that you guys have done. But starting a business is kind of a new adventure, new experience that you guys can share together. And that is great. And that's probably why you want to start a business together. You have some cool ideas. You think it'd be awesome to start a business together. And it is very awesome. And it's kind of different than a lot of other things you can do as a friend group, which is really cool. Also, if you're friends, hopefully, probably your values and interests are probably aligned, which again is really, really good if you're going to start a business. And that also makes it more fun because the business that you're starting is probably something that you're all interested in, you all care about, you share similar values, and the way you want to run your business is probably based on those interests and values. So that can be really cool. And of course, if you're starting business with your best buddies, you get to hang out even more than you already do, which is super, super fun. Hanging out with your bros is always awesome. And if you start a business together, there will be even more fun times ahead. And that is great. And hopefully it can also strengthen your friendship. My friendships with Audrey and Heather have grown a lot stronger since we've started our business together many moons ago. And so that's something really cool. It can strengthen your friendship if you start a business together, if you do it right. If you do it wrong, it might not. And that's going to bring us to the next part of this talk, which is probably why you guys are here, which is what's hard about starting a business with your friends. Normally, if you're starting a business with your friends, you guys are probably thinking about all the really cool things, all of the fun stuff that will come with starting a business. And that's great and that's amazing. And those things are true. But there's also some things that can be very difficult about starting a business together. So I thought I'd start by running through what some of those things are. If you guys have already been in business with your friends together, you might know some of these. So one, finding time to hang out without it being about your business can be difficult. Once you start a business together, that takes a lot of time, it takes a lot of energy, and it makes it harder to find time to hang out with your friends without it being about your business. Your business can kind of quickly take up a lot of your time and make it so that you're not doing other fun stuff like playing D&D, whatever you guys are doing to hang out. It's harder to find that time because starting a business takes a lot of work, takes a lot of time, so that can be difficult. Next, businesses are hard work, and that can be kind of stressful. I think sometimes businesses, when you start them, you have kind of like a honeymoon phase where everything's going great. You guys have tons of fun ideas. But businesses are difficult. You have to make tough decisions. You have to, continue to work on things, even if things get hard. It's not something you really pick up and drop off sort of at your convenience in the way that some other projects are. And that can be difficult, especially if you're in a business with your friends. Also, kind of similar to the sort of adage of not all your friends from high school are good roommates. Sometimes friends that you have are not good business partners. Nothing against them, just, being a business partner is very different than being a friend. And sometimes that can be hard because you probably think that it'd be really cool to, room with all your friends, but then when you actually room with them, you're like, oh, I don't know about this. And kind of it's similar with being a business partner. It's kind of a different skill set. It's a different kind of relationship than a friendship. And that can sometimes be difficult because, you're friends, but then business partners is something different, and you need to have good business partners to have a good business. Also, something that's very different than starting a business with someone you don't know is if your friendship is ever struggling, or you guys are having, like all relationships have strife, have difficult times. And when that's happening, sometimes that can impact your business, which is different sometimes than if you're purely just a business partner with someone. Usually their personal life or your friendship doesn't impact the business as much. And also if your business is being really stressful, you're in hard times, that can be really hard on your friendship because, you're friends with these people, but you're also business partners. And so if there's crazy stuff going on, that can be kind of a strain on your friendship. So that's something to keep in mind. And also, you kind of just learn a lot more about your friends, kind of the good things and the bad things when you go into business with your friends. I think a lot of, horror stories you hear about people learning about aspects of their friend that they were surprised by in a bad way, which definitely can happen. That's happened to me. I think that's happened to a lot of people. But this one's not entirely, just a bad thing. Sometimes you learn good things about your friends. Like I've learned so much more about my friends Audrey and Heather when we've been in a company, and just talents that I didn't know they had. And we've grown a lot together being in business together. And so it's sort of like you learn a lot about your friends. And sometimes that can be good, but sometimes that can be bad. Sometimes you learn, aspects of working with your friend that maybe when you were just friends and not business partners, that didn't ever really come up. But when you become business partners, you're going to learn some stuff. All right. So those are kind of the good and the bad things about starting a business with your friends, which you guys probably already have at least thought about if you thought about going into business. So now, given the experience that I've had starting a business with my friends, I'm going to go into 5 surefire ways that you can kill your business and you can kill your friendship. So these, to be very clear, are things that you should only do if you want to kill your business and kill your friendship. So we're going to go into those now. Number 1, making the company your entire friendship. You should not do this. You should have a friendship with your friends that is completely separate from your company. And you should make sure that those 2 relationships, the relationship of business partner and the relationship with friend, are preserved. And if you don't do that, it's going to suck because suddenly your entire friendship is consumed by your company. You don't have time to do anything else. You grow to resent each other. It's terrible. Don't do that. Number two bad thing you should not do is keep quiet, hold grudges, and gossip. These are all things that are really easy to do, especially if you're friends, especially if you have a bigger group. But this can very quickly create a really toxic environment. If you're not bringing things up, if you're talking about each other, behind each other's back, if there's things that happen in the business that you don't agree with or you don't think was the right way to handle things, and you kind of just quietly hold that, or don't resolve that, and it kind of just continues to build up all this tension that can be very difficult, and it can really strain both your business. It makes it harder to be in business together, and it can also really strain your friendship. It can make it really hard to, uh, you know, be friends when that kind of toxic behavior pattern is going on. Number three bad thing to not do is staying in the company just to maintain the friendship. You, again, should not do this. Your friendship and your business partnership are two separate things, and it should not be the case that you are in the company just to maintain the friendship. And creating a company where your friendship is contingent upon continuing to be in business together, or vice versa, is super, super toxic. Do not do that. That's going to make it really, really hard to, again, maintain those good boundaries, maintain open communication. And ultimately, if you're staying in the company just to maintain the friendship, you probably don't care about the business. And that means the business isn't going to do very well. And then your business is not doing well. And that's really bad. And also your friendship's probably not doing great, because then you're not going to be caring about the business and you're not going to be doing good at the business. And it's going to be this like circle spiral that you don't want to do. Number four, this is kind of similar, keeping people in the company just because they're your friend. So of course, when you started this business, it's because you guys are good buddies. You guys have this great idea for, a game or whatever else you want to do. But at the end of the day, business is business. And just because someone's your friend doesn't mean that they need to just stay in the company forever. Maybe it's not a good fit. Maybe they're not pulling their weight. Maybe they want to leave. And just because they're your friend doesn't mean you should keep them around, because keeping someone around who isn't fit for the business, doesn't want to be in the business, means that they're not contributing and the business isn't getting what it needs to grow and thrive. And a lot of resentment can build from that, and that can be really difficult. So don't do that. And number five is avoiding negative feedback that would help the business, probably because you guys are good buddies and you don't want to hurt each other's feelings. It can be really hard being in business with your friends, in the sense that you probably, hopefully, care about your friends. It's hard to give negative feedback. It's hard to give criticism. There's a lot of difficult conversations that happen when you're in business together. And if you avoid those conversations or avoid that feedback to preserve your friendship, it's going to impact your business negatively, and that in turn is going to impact your friendship negatively. So as difficult as it is, continuing to avoid negative feedback and never having difficult conversations, that will kill your business and your friendship. All right. So I made this slide blue. I know I had a lot of scary blood splatters and fonts with skulls. But the truth of the matter is that there's a lot of fun things about running a business with your friends. There's a lot of hard things. But I think that if you can agree to some rules of engagement, and all of your friends can mutually agree and decide that this is something they want to do, I think starting a business with your friends, especially because we're at BostonFIG, an indie game company, is so, so fun. And I don't want to scare you guys away from doing it, because I think it can be awesome. But given the fact that, I've been in business with my friends for many years, I have some rules of engagement for you guys. So these are some, rules that I've come up with that I think if you follow these, it will really, really help preserve both your business and your friendship, and will make it so you guys are, having a good time and making cool games you want to make, and, continuing to be best buddies who are in a business together, and it will be awesome. All right. So rule number one is a rule that no one likes, but I think it's really important, which is make an actual legal business plan, like with actual stuff in it, that protect all the people in the company. When you start the company, don't wait to do this. I know that this is unpopular advice, but I think it's super, super important. And the plan needs to be like a real plan and not just oh yeah, we have to do this and we're going to write out a document, whatever, who cares? Like actually have the difficult conversation. So how many shares does each person in the company have? What happens to those shares when or if someone leaves? Who keeps the revenue from the business? Who retains the IP if someone leaves the business? Does the company dissolve if someone leaves or not? These kinds of questions can be really kind of uncomfortable and awkward, especially because, when you're starting your business, everyone's like, this is going to be great. We're going to be friends and business partners, and we have these awesome ideas. And you do, and it will be awesome. But you should still have these conversations at the beginning of you starting your business. Even if you think nothing bad will happen, and maybe nothing bad will happen, maybe everyone will stay the business. It'll be awesome. You guys will make cool games, make some money. It'll be dope. But the truth of the matter is that making a plan like this actually protects everyone in the company in case something bad does happen. And since you're all friends, you probably want to protect each other, which is awesome. And also having these conversations is a really good foundation for you and your friends to start having business conversations where you're making tough decisions and talking through different scenarios as opposed to just, being buds and having a good time. This is a good first business conversation that you guys can have, and it'll build a really solid foundation for your business that protects everybody before you get super deep into, making games and making revenue and stuff like that. It also just helps from an indie game standpoint. Just by the way, if you have a legal entity, you're probably going to need one at some point. So if you get on that fast, you'll be ahead of the game. All right. Rule number 2, talk about commitments often and follow through with them. So I put underneath, don't talk about commitments just when you start the company and then literally never talk about it again. You guys should have conversations about what you are actually committing to when you are starting a business. And you should probably be pretty specific about what you're committing to. Starting a business is different than, agreeing to get beers on a Friday. It's a lot of obligation. There's a lot of, there's money involved usually and people's time and effort. And you should have those conversations often about what are you committing to. And then when you commit to those things, to be a good business partner and a good friend, you should follow through on the commitments that you have made with your business partners and your friends. So some things that I've come up with on here is time commitments. How much time can we all realistically dedicate to the company? That's a question you guys should have when you're starting the company and continue to have as the company grows and changes, because people have lives. Probably when you're starting out, this isn't going to be your full-time gig. So you should talk about, how much time are we all dedicating? Is it equal? And having those conversations now, so this is how much time we have to work on this stuff. Also discussing accountability. This can be really difficult, especially when you're friends. But if you're in a business together, if people say they're going to do something and they commit to it and then they don't follow through, you're going to have those difficult conversations to preserve your business. So, you guys might all decide to agree to a statement like, if you're going to do something, then you do it. But what does that mean for you guys? How will you handle when life circumstances change? How will you handle, if people don't meet their commitments? How are you going to handle that? That's something that you guys should talk about. I've talked to people, and even within, my own company, I feel like a lot of resentment can build with this bullet in particular. So you should have frequent conversations about accountability and make sure that everybody's doing what they need to be doing, because it is a business. And if people aren't doing what they need to do, those conversations need to happen too. Another one that I wanted to put on here when we're talking about commitments is company structure. So you guys should talk about who's responsible for what. Something that I personally recommend, just based on my own experience, is I recommend, if you're starting a business with your friends, especially if it's a small team, I would start with everyone on equal footing. I don't think you need a CEO or like a company leader in super small groups. We actually did that when we started our company, and it made for a lot of imbalance in terms of time commitments and just accountability issues. It just caused a lot of difficulty within our business when we had sort of like a CEO and like underling model. And I think if you guys are all friends, it will feel a lot more natural and comfortable for you guys if you start off with everyone on equal footing, and then you just divvy up the work that everyone's going to do. So I actually have an example from our company. I know that that was really bright. It has a white background. I'm sorry. This is our structure. This is kind of our goofy little, like, we made little pillars. So this is the three of us. Oh, you can't see my mouse. So this is the three of us, Audrey, Heather, and Katie. That's us. Where's Winslow Games? We came up with sort of all of the different parts of running an indie game company that we saw, and then we sort of bundled them up into what we thought, like, I think whoever's handling, story design should also handle brainstorming and storyboarding and mechanic design and all of that. And we put them into these little boxes, and then we decided who was going to be in charge of running each of these boxes. And that's been really helpful for us. And as you can see, we like to goof in our company too, because we're friends. Like, Heather is in charge of partying, obviously. So that's just some fun little friend stuff that you guys get to do if you're in business together. But this is how we've restructured our company, and it's been really, really helpful in holding everybody accountable, but also making sure that things get done and people can be in charge of different things and stuff like that. So that's what we did. I would recommend doing something similar if you're starting out. But it's your company. You can do what you want. That's just what I recommend. All right. Rule number 4, this is a really tough one. It's hard to follow this one, but keep your outside problems outside of the company and vice versa. Don't drag your friend stuff into the business. You need to keep that stuff separate. This can be very difficult, if you guys are good buds, especially if you've been friends for a long time. Relationships are very complicated. There's going to be times when you guys, there's strife, there's sort of like stuff happening with your friendship that can be difficult. But you need to keep that outside of company time. That's very difficult to accomplish, but it's going to ensure that separation of personal lives and business relations. And it keeps the business protected from any issues that have nothing to do with the business. This also works in reverse. So if you're having business difficulties, that needs to be kept out of your friendship. You need to really protect the borders of those two different relationships. Because otherwise, one's going to bleed into the other one, and it's going to, kind of make everything really bad. Okay, so I have another thing to share. This is from our company. This is something we use. Again, sorry for the bright white slide. We created a little flow chart. So near the beginning of every one of our company meetings, we like to set aside some time to see if anyone has anything they'd like to bring up. Usually there's at least something, but you see we made this little flow chart. You see right up at the top, there's a yes, no for, is this company related? And if it is not, that is not the time to bring it up. And we do that to make sure that if you have friend things that you want to talk about, you guys need to, preserve your friendship and nurture it outside of the business time and vice versa. So that's just something that is difficult, but I think it really protects both the relationships. On a similar note, this is rule number 5, which is bring up issues as soon as you encounter them. Don't wait to bring stuff up, especially with a business. If there are issues you're having with the business, and it's not just, maybe business structure things, but maybe I feel like someone didn't do this thing, or I don't like the way this is being done, or I'm really worried about this. All of that stuff that you're feeling, you need to bring it up as soon as possible. That keeps negativity from being sort of festering in the group. That kind of stuff can really dampen productivity and make it really hard to keep the business running. So moving back to this slide, partially why we made this slide is because there's a lot of members in our company, that myself included, that don't really like confrontation. We don't like bringing stuff up. So we have this slide not just to say, if this is not company related, don't talk about it. But you can see that there's questions that we have to ask ourselves with anything that might be bothering us. So that includes, is this currently negatively impacting the company? Could it negatively impact the company in the future? How many times has this thing bothered you? If it's more than 3, you should bring it up. You brought something up last week and you're still thinking about it. Yes, you should bring it up. All of this kind of stuff. This is just the chart that we use. You guys can come up with one if you want. But you guys should have some structure, I would recommend, within your company that allows you to openly communicate the difficulties you are having, so you can address them and resolve them. I find specifically for our company, it's been helpful to specifically designate time every time we have a company meeting. not every time, but our weekly meetings that we have. Because sometimes it's just awkward to bring things up. And if you provide like this is the specific time when we want to bring things up, that can help people who maybe don't like bringing things up or don't like confrontation. That provides them a space to do that, and that's been really helpful for us. Another thing that we've done is when we are having a confrontation, again, because not a lot of us, some of us in the company, there's difficult conversations to be had. And so what we did is outside of our company, outside of any confrontation, I'm sorry, we came up with this sort of like, what do we do when someone does these things that we feel like shuts down conversation? So what if someone's getting defensive? What if someone's joking around? What if someone's providing excuses without solutions? What if someone's blame shifting? All of those things that can happen because we're human and we don't like having confrontation and it's very difficult and emotional. We've come up with, this is how we're going to handle it. So that way we make sure that the problems that we're having get addressed and get resolved so we can move forward and keep our company sort of operating. I also included some things down here for how to deal with sitting in the hot seat if someone's bringing something up to you, and also how to give a good apology and not an apology that's used as like a weapon to shut down conversation. So that's been helpful for us. Again, I might recommend doing that with your friends as well. All right, rule number 6, this is specifically designate friend time and business time. This one's pretty self-explanatory, but I said, walls up. If it's business time, it's business time. If it's friend time, it's friend time. Establish good, healthy routines for hanging out with your friends, and having a routine for that. And same with business, D&D nights on Wednesday, business things on Friday, or something like that. Keeping those two things separate is going to be really helpful for you. This is difficult to do sometimes, but once you get in a routine, it's pretty easy to accomplish that one. All right. So we're right 2 minutes before the end. I'm glad that I got to get all the good stuff in there. But thank you so much for tuning into this talk. I'm hoping it was a little bit helpful. I'm hoping you guys took maybe away some good tips, or have decided that, oh man, I'm so excited to start a business with my friends, or, oh, this seems kind of hard. Maybe we just want to stick to D&D. Either one is totally cool, but I hope you and your buds have a lot of good times together. And if you start a business together, I wish you guys a lot of success. If you have any questions or you want to talk to me about this is my email. And we are on Twitter. I'll probably be checking in on Twitter. So if you have questions, add us and I'll try and respond. I'll probably also go into the networking lounge after this talk if anyone wants to chat further about any of the stuff I presented. But yeah, thanks so much, you guys, for tuning in. I really appreciate it. And yeah, have a great rest of your BostonFIG. Although, actually, quick plug, I am giving another talk at 3 p.m. about Heart First game design for our company. So if you like this talk, maybe you want to tune into my other talk at 3. But yeah, all right, I'm going to stop screen sharing. Have a great day, everyone.